everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for, if you can believe it, episode 17 of the Let Me Introduce You podcast. I am Jen. This is Adarian, and we're here with a very special guest, Dawn Ross. Dawn is one of the speakers at the Biomechanics Movement Summit, which is happening January 12th through 13th in Las Vegas. And Dawn is, I'm going to read the bio so I don't mess anything up, a yoga and movement teacher with a passion for biomechanics and movement science. She approaches her yoga practice and work from a place of curiosity, continually challenging the yoga poses and sequences and the way they are traditionally taught, cued, and rationalized. Thank you for joining us, Dawn. We're excited to be here with you.
My pleasure.
Before we get going into Dawn's view on biomechanics and yoga, I thought it might be useful for the listeners just to have a basic understanding of what these two specific terms mean. So biomechanics is the application of mechanical principles to living organisms, including humans, animals, and cells. Biomechanics plays an important role in the understanding of the fundamental principles of human motion. This comes from a paper that I found called the Biomechanics, a fundamental tool with a long history and even longer future. Yoga is defined as a mind-body practice composed of physical postures, breathing techniques, and meditation. This comes from a different paper called From Yoga Research and Public Health. The ancient practice of yoga is from India. Yoga means to yoke or unify. Usually this implies the mind or the body. Modern postural yoga, which is what a lot of us think of when we think of yoga, emphasizes yoga postures and pranayama, which is breath. With the advent of modern postural yoga came a lot of ideas about how asanas should be taught, which is where we are today. So, how do you... What's that?
I'm glad you said all those words. Pamayama. I'd have a rap going.
Yes. I studied a little bit of Sanskrit way back when. So how do you apply biomechanics to your yoga teaching?
Yeah, I think the biomechanics kind of helped me move away from we're trying to get a stretch in a certain place, and became more of how is this whole structure managing the forces acting on it, for lack of a better word. I could be in triangle, and based on where my weight is and things like from the book of in terms of the levers that I'm focusing on and what moves first or what moves second is going to change my experience in that pose. And I was not somebody who was naturally flexible. I got rejected from dance. I got rejected from gymnastics at a very young age. And so I came to yoga from a place where I'd been teaching lots of fitness and kind of recognized, oh, probably I'm going to need something else if I'm going to have longevity in this as a career, like long term. And then through yoga, I kind of could keep doing it for a bit longer, but even then the wheels kind of fell off the bus. So I didn't come to it as naturally flexible. I was the person that was like at the back and they're like, you should feel a stretch here. And I'm like, oh, I feel a stretch there, but I've like moved 2 centimeters. There's no way I'm going to get from here into the same shape you're in. And so it's probably through my own frustration and self, experimentation that has kept me at it as long as it has, and that I've been able to help other people, because there's lots of people that come to it that are coming because they know they should stretch, but the people teaching the yoga are really bendy people, so they often get into the positions and don't feel any stretch anywhere. And so that can be frustrating for someone that moves 2 centimeters and is like, okay, the whole system's going, That's it.
Yeah.
Done. No more.
Yeah, I think, I mean, because I think, even like I remember when I started getting the yoga and got out really fast, I'm like, I'm not a contortionist. That's not my thing. I'm not trying to contort myself, So it was like, yeah. But one of the things I've noticed about you over these last time period is how you're switching to being an athlete. You're starting to do more athletic stuff. You're starting to jump more, run more, and it's not like you wasn't an athlete, but I'm just watching how now you kind of, and so I think, people might want to hear, because that's what we see a lot now. People want to be athletes. So I think you could speak to people like how this has made you, a better athlete.
Yeah, it's well, I was saying to Jen before you got on, I did my initial training way, way, way. I have to like look at the certificate. 2000, 2010, so a long time ago. And then in 2019, I did a 300-hour biomechanics based yoga teacher training with Jules Mitchell. And that helped me kind of find things to work on in the pose, so that even though I was static, there were things I could work on, like tensioning and lines of pulls and things that I could work on while I was in the pose, which I found helpful. But then in the last year or so, using the principles that you guys teach and from the book, it's become a lot more about also the work in the pose, but how to transition from place to place.
Yeah.
That's become really interesting.
Yeah.
So how to like make space, move into that space, which you need in order to exhibit some level of athleticism. Otherwise, you're just muscling through stuff. I'm 49 years old. Like, there's only so much muscle through.
Yeah, so yeah.
There's only so much muscle through. And I'm not interested in like doing a thing and then having to recover for 5 days from that thing. Which is the really cool thing about this change, is I can do the things. I was saying to my husband the other day, I said, it's been over a year since I've like gone hiking or done a full day of skiing or whatever, that I've had to like do something after the thing to recover, like use balls or do even like some sort of stretching or somatic something or other. Like the all the things are just like working really well. And so even when I injured myself last January.
Speak to that about, talking about recovery and what happened, how you got hurt, and then how you got back really fast and faster than what people thought you would be back.
Yeah. So yeah, January 3rd, we were skiing and it was just a freak. Like the light was kind of weird and the snow was chunky in spots. And because it was early season, like sometimes during the day it can like warm up, but then it could be really cold at night. So it was this sort of like mashed potato-y, but with hard chunks in it. And we're coming down and I just hit a bump and got spun uphill. So now I'm going downhill on my skis facing uphill and hit a bump and like pulled my calf to the maximum. Like I felt the pop. I would describe it as feeling like all those fascia layers when I've been in a lab and you kind of fluff the muscles once you get through the superficial fascia. It's like I could feel those bags that, hold the gastroc, hold the soleus, separate them from the bone, for lack of a better description, kind of pull off one another, and heard a pop and was like, oh, that's not good.
That thing was like bruised up.
Oh yeah, it was black and blue. So I had imaging and I tore some blood vessels, but they didn't feel like I tore the fascial bags didn't tear, but they pulled off one another. and there was a lot of fluid and swelling like in between those compartments. So my like calf, you know, swelled up like that. So that was January 3rd. And I had to teach on Monday, like in my online movement studio. And luckily a friend had like this pair of wedges that were shoes that were flat, but had like the wedge built in. And I could wear those and just walk normally because my brain then wasn't surveilling like, where is the heel? Where's the heel? Where's the heel? This far off the ground. So I was able to like walk. I'd have to take breaks and like ice it, or it would swell and get uncomfortable, that amount of pressure buildup. But I was like moving, doing sumo squats things, working on getting the foot rolling again, getting that lateral or longitudinal arch set up because it was my down leg that I did it on, getting things to rotate and fold up again. And by, I think, February, whatever President's Day is there, I skied.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you also had, you also was starting to use the slant board to help out with.
Yeah. Yeah. So that I would stand on that, that would help get that longitudinal arch. And then I could really work at the folding up and getting things to yaw and pitch and compress again. Because it wasn't like, it didn't want to be stretched. It was like pulled to like the max end of where it could go. It really needed to be compressed so that stuff got, I think, like pumped through it and pulled through it again. But yeah, I was skiing back 5 weeks later. And then this year hiking, I did the most meters of elevation, the most kilometers I've ever done.
And running, like you're
running. And I'm not a runner. Like I would be like, unless a bear is chasing me, what is the point? But I actually find myself now, like the other day, I was out for a walk and it was like, run, you know, something in me was just like, go.
Isn't it funny when it comes into your head? Oh, you can run. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. And so then I go, and then when it's like time to stop, I stop. But that happened probably 4 times.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think I did like, when I got home after 24 minutes, I was like, oh snap, I went 6 kilometers.
So now, you know, so that becomes fun part. Like for me, the fun part is always like when you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Like I said, you out, I plan on walking, now I'm running. Oh, I didn't plan on running today. I'm just, you know, oh, they're going to fence to climb. I didn't plan on climbing, but here I am going to climb, you know. Hey, I didn't plan, but here I am. You know, I think that becomes a lot of the fun part too, is when, because Jen and I will always argue about what really is play. And she thinks organized is play. And I'm thinking like, nah, play is when you just see the tree and go climb it versus, hey, I'm going to go climb the tree today. And so those are like 2 different things to me, but she likes to organize. So I'm like, nah, play is like, you see the rock, pick it up and throw it.
Yeah, well, coaching my son's basketball team, and I'll be describing a drill I want them to do, because a lot of them, like, they need to learn to go down.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, teenage boys, they're kind of like, especially depending on where they are in their growth spurt, kind of flat-footed, arms by the sides.
Yeah.
Static. So get him to go down. But we'll be at practice and I'll be like, I want you to try to do this. And I'm like, I've never done it before, but I know what I want them to do. And so I have to demonstrate it. And I'm like, so I'm going to try to do it. I don't know if this is going to work out or not.
Right.
It's always pretty fun because it usually works out. And they're like, Coach Ross.
You know, so I remember because like Don and I be going through stuff where she'll, you know, like crow pose. And I remember I was like, I think I can do that. And then I couldn't do it, you know. And then all of a sudden we figured it out. And it's like, oh, now, you know, it's funny. I don't even want to do it now because I can't. It's like, yeah, whatever. I can do that. I can stick one leg up. It's like, yeah, whatever now, you know. But I remember when we was doing.
Well, we'll go to Firefly now.
You know, The what's that?
We'll go to Firefly.
Oh, what's Firefly? See, I don't. So I'm taking it, and this what like I said, as we talk through these things, and that's like I said, people that work with me, like I don't know stuff outside what I know, but I also will try stuff. Like Don's like, hey, let's do some yoga today. I'm like, okay, and we and she's giving me instructions based on this, and it's funny. So is that what people can expect from you? And because I know you've been going back and forth about what you're gonna do in Las Vegas. Was that what people can expect from you in Las Vegas?
Yeah, what they can expect is not like any yoga class they've gone to before, because I didn't teach even before this that I'd say now we're going to this pose, because like you guys talk about in the book, the input influences the output. And so if you're in a class and say the sun salutation, so we're going from A to B to C to D, people are checked out. Like they're ticking boxes before they even get to class. And that's not yoga to me. Like yoga is the how we talked about before, the past influencing the present just the right amount that makes something different possible in the future. And so there's this there'll be a sense in that practice where all of a sudden you're like in free flow, where we're going from here to there, but I actually have an idea of like where we're going to go, but I don't know if that's where we're going to go. And so we start out, and some people might create a shape that looks this way, and other people are creating a shape that looks something totally different, or they've linked 3 shapes together and we're going to, they're going to end up over here. And so it's very different from a usual yoga class, I would say. Also coming into things, like I never understood how in my initial teacher training, we spent like an afternoon on Tadasana. It's like how do you overcomplicate? Like you're literally standing there. But we're gonna cue the bejesus out of the feet and the core, like the core and the shoulders and and your breathing. And now we're gonna like go somewhere. Like, why did we why did we just spend all of this time? And people say, well, it's setting the foundation. And it's like, well, if the point is to like move somewhere, then I don't know that we need to like encase something in concrete at the onset, like out of the gate. So yeah, it's more on where you're feeling, sensing pressure, creating a picture. What does that make possible? Like, is there a leg now that wants to cycle forward? Is there a moment where both feet like want to come off the ground? And so that's what people can kind of expect. It won't be, warrior 2, da 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 da.
Yeah. One of always the funniest things about Dawn is this here. Dawn will quickly pull a book out on me.
Yeah.
I'll be saying stuff. She go, hold on, I got the book, and she'll quickly she'll quickly pull a book out on me, and she'll be tracing out stuff, and then she goes, yeah, okay, But it's always funny how she's, she goes, let me just go back and look at this real quick to make sure, because I'll say stuff, like people that don't know me know that I'll say unorthodox stuff all day long, and you have to be prepared, and like Dawn's always prepared. Because and like even with Jen never knows what I'm gonna say. She's always cracks up because we'll be having a conversation and she'll be like, "What did he just say?" And Dawn will be like, "Hold on." She won't go, "What did he just say?" She'll just get the book out. Okay, are you gonna bring the book with you to Vegas?
Probably. I'll at least bring the app on my phone. A bit heavy.
Yeah.
The app on my phone. I just find the book is faster for me to flip through than sometimes navigating the
Yeah.
app.
Yeah.
But I find it helps me to like see the structures and then be able to imagine those lines of pull or what can be created when we, and actually even using pitch, yawn, roll as I teach yoga, what becomes really interesting is initially with people, I would have to specify the direction. So pitch this forward or back, or yaw this left or right, or towards the big toe or away from the big toe. Like and now with people that have worked with this language for a while, I just say yaw, and their system does what it needs to do, because somebody might need it left, but somebody else needs it right.
Right.
And that's been really cool to see people that have practiced for a long time that are actually trusting their body and the impulses they're getting from their brain in terms of what's possible or what's the next shape I'm creating.
Right.
Which is,
So,
again, like super powerful, because it then puts the practice in them. Then when they go out to run or do whatever they're doing, they're not going, do I pull the pelvic floor from the back to the front when I do this, or do I? And I was like, do both. And what happens? They're like, oh, I don't move when I do this. That actually helps anchor me. And that has the impulse of like moving. I'm like, great. So then they realize they don't have to memorize things. It becomes real time, them interacting with themselves, the environment. Like that's present moment. That's super powerful.
Right. So if you had to speak from two ways, let's have the teacher, somebody that's teaching yoga, come to Vegas, and somebody that's practicing yoga come to Vegas. What are those individuals going to get from you?
Some cognitive dissonance, probably, for sure. I've been there. I still have it all the time.
They better bring their own book, huh? They better bring their
I've been there. I still have it. I have it all the time. So some cognitive dissonance, likely, and surprise and some delight, because they will experience things in a way that was like, I didn't know it could feel like, I didn't know I could feel that sense of floating with that. I just floated in that. Oh, I never get my leg from here to there. It like sprung forward, you know? So they'll get this, they'll get some surprise delight, some cognitive dissonance.
So should we have the shot glass close by just in case?
Yeah, could be.
Well, you know, I think too, what people need to realize, you know, like, so we're in Las Vegas, and so, you know, Biomechanics Movement Summit, it's gonna be fun. You know, you know, the room's gonna be fun that we're gonna be in and stuff like that. Mandalay Bay is huge, you know, and everything like that, and run through different sessions. But at the same time, you know, we are gonna do some things different, you know, and so just like even with Amsterdam, we are gonna do some things different, you know. And I think that makes it part of the fun too. That, you know, if somebody wants to sip on a drink while they go through this, man, sip on the drink. You know, be it water, be it, you know, coconut water, be it, you know, spirit water, you know, whatever water they want to sip on as they go through this process, you know. But I think that's part of, you know, and, you know, they can get to interact with you live. Like they get to, you know, they actually get to sit there and ask you a question that's going to be like, oh, okay. And it's going to be like you said, we're going to turn you loose on your own power. Well, try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and you have these other experts around, in a sense, that don't really know yoga, but may add in their own 2 cents to the whole process and everything. So I think it's going to be, you know, super fun, you know, a challenging fun thing to be had and everything. So Tell us about some of the things that's happened with the people you worked with. The DMs I get like, hey, look, we just I get involved. Hey, look, tell people about that stuff.
Yeah, well, I think I have I teach online, and then otherwise I work one-on-one with people, and in person and online. And I'm not coming into it when I'm working with someone to, similar to Jen, similar to you, like I'm not coming into it going, this needs to look this way. I'm looking at, how does it look? Okay. And then let's create a pitch, yaw, roll, or a combination of those things, or a task that does those things. Maybe I don't even need to speak to them, but a task of like getting up out of the chair with the intention of, you're getting up to go somewhere. You're not getting, like, you never get out of the chair to get out of the chair. You get up because you're like, I got to go get something from the printer. Oh, I'm going to go get a drink of water. I have to go to the bathroom. And so, for one of my clients post abdominal surgery, where she was like having to hold on to things to get out of the chair, just this simple exercise of the point that you just have to roll out of the chair to go do the thing. And all of a sudden, within, a few minutes, she could do that. And then all of a sudden, getting from her car to the church group on Sunday wasn't laborious. So then, all of these things started to be expanded. And in the course of a month, she was able to go on a 10-day holiday that when we met, she was like, I think we have to cancel this holiday. Right. And so stuff like that, or it just changes in their structure of things that they thought were unchangeable. Right. That they thought were, this is the way it's always been, this is the way it'll always be. And something they've sort of like created workarounds, but not understood that if they just do this cascade of things ends up happening. And so they don't even actually have to address the thing they thought had to be addressed.
Yeah.
People that had years of pelvic floor therapy and were like super frustrated, and they wanted to get back hiking and they wanted to get back cycling, and something as simple as understanding the up and down leg and getting the foot and lower leg on the downside or the upside kind of out of the way, like all of a sudden had her walking and hiking differently, to the point where her husband's like taking videos of her and going, you've never looked like that. Like, what are you doing?
Renewed interest. Hey.
So now they send me like photos from when they're out on their hikes or whatever. And he's the cutest because he always like narrates the videos. And so it's like, here she is looking great on the summit of a
Yeah, and you work with a variety of people, right? Athletes to older population. So you have a variety of people.
A lot of some younger athletes. So like the soccer player who came and had and the cool thing is like some people I work with over a long term, lots of people I see like 1 to 3 times, and then they're like, I don't see them again because they're in their thing. But she came and had a really bad ankle sprain, was cleared by physio to return, but with shooting the ball, like had pain because she couldn't plant or flex her ankle. Identified her up leg, down leg, realized that was her up leg. And so I just simply gave her the instruction of, I want you to kick the ball, but the whole focus is getting under the ball with the other leg. And as soon as she did that, it was this whop. And I was like, any pain with that? Nope. I was like, that's what you're gonna do. Like, go shoot, go play soccer. Right, and off she's gone. But lots of like 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds that are kind of feeling that narrative that we get sold, like you get older and the wheels start to fall off. you can't do what you used to be able to do, and da 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 da. And realizing, okay, I might not, but oh, this is pretty rad. Like, I can do this now.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun, and people not feeling broken, or like that there's something wrong with them, or something that they have to fix. Like the guy this morning, you know, he I showed him and you could see the ankle thing, and then we did the pelvic floor and I videoed again, and he's like, how did that work? He's like, actually, I don't care how it worked. It just it worked.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like how you had spoken to that about how, you know, and I speak to a lot too about how moving away from the dysfunctional model, where everybody's dysfunctional, everybody's compensating, everybody's broke, needs to be fixed, you know. But you're doing this, you have no pain, but you're dysfunctional. I don't. But yeah.
Well, it's the it's that old line from yoga, and I see it in the rehab too, where it's like practice and all is coming. This like mythical, do these exercises and you'll get there. And you can get there a lot faster than one day way out in the future, maybe. I think my whole thing is like, in any session, I want someone to get lit up about something, like something feels better or possible all of a sudden, or they're able to do it or whatever every session. Not after, you know, 6 weeks of bicep curls and
so if you could steer the industry in a direction, what direction would you steer it into?
The industry is so interesting because it's gone through, you know, I've been around long enough that I've seen these different iterations from really like alignment based to keep people safe.
Yeah.
To okay, no, we're not going to do that. Everybody, you listen to your body.
Right.
But which again, like some people like, so that the sensation of a stretch is like a danger signal for someone. For someone else, it's like what? How are people interpreting those signals? And that may not help them discover possibility in the present moment either. And so I think I would steer it in a direction that yoga is taught in such a way that people again and again and again have this like aha of, oh, that was different. Like there's something back here, you know, it's not the S up here, you know, it's not the self up here. It's like that wise observer back here that's like doesn't have to change anything, but all of a sudden is like, oh, we could do this, we could do this and this and this. Like there's like, when I was out on my walk, that's like, yeah, you better run.
Yeah, it's
And so I would hope that the industry kind of goes in that direction, that people are coming or having that experience in yoga where they're just in awe of what this did, what it communicated, how it felt. Not necessarily the whole practice, but that they have a moment in their practice where they're just like, damn, that was cool.
Yeah. No, I have those. It's funny. I was doing some pull-ups the other day, and I was doing some. I'm working on some things, and it's funny. And I hit my head, you know, because I didn't know I had moved that far that fast, you know. Kind of like when, you know, like when you fell, you know.
Yeah.
I'm doing this
I
thing.
just praying for that glute knee to the point I rotated myself right into the ground.
Yeah. I was on the pull-up bar, and the next thing I know, like my head hit, and I was thinking, like, damn, I was that close to that thing, you know. So we got like 5 minutes left, and so I want to play a round of, you know how they have those games, and I mention a word, and you give me a response.
Okay.
You know, okay. Barefoot training.
Just take your shoes off. I mean, yoga is barefoot training. You're barefoot when you do yoga.
It's the original barefoot trainer, right? Is the original.
Take your shoes off in the grass. That's probably the original. And then put a yoga mat under your feet. You're still barefoot training.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Strengthening joints.
Strengthening joints. I don't know. I just want the communication to pass over through the joint quicker, smoother, in a more coordinated fashion.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe that's what stronger joint is.
Plyometrics.
Plyometrics. Well, you got to stretch something and shorten it really quick, and so it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, hopscotch on one foot.
The original plyometric hopscotch, yeah.
Skip double Dutch.
Yeah. Gobbledygook.
Oh, that was earlier when actually I thought of that word when Jen was giving the reading the definitions of biomechanics.
Gobbledygook. Sorry, Jen.
That's actually what I thought of.
Complify.
Amplify? Oh, it's making things wait. That was like what yoga was, where you're like, we're gonna get the tripod of the foot and root through this and from your foot into the earth, and you're gonna feel all three of these tripods for all three of these points, and pressure equal and rooted, and now you're gonna do your mula bandha and engage your core and shoulders back, and just like you're like,
when are we
standing increase. I don't know why they need all of this instruction. What does that make possible in the next instance?
Yeah, I saved the best for last. Do the thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're spending hours a week to one day be prepared for, just do the thing, because you ought to be, whatever you're doing in your training or your yoga practice ought to make the thing faster, easier, more enjoyable, and that you're spending more time doing the thing. Right. I just see people and they rehab stuff and they don't get back to things sometimes ever.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. We appreciate you joining us. Once again, folks, she's one of the presenters at the Biomechanics Movement Summit in Las Vegas, Nevada, January 12th and 13th in the year of 2024. She's going to cover yoga, but not in the traditional sense. And so I think that, remember, you can watch it remote or you can attend it live. Menlo Lake Bay is where we're going to be at. I think it's going to be worthwhile to catch her and see these things that she's about to present. It's not a traditional sense of yoga, but still within yoga. And really, I think you said it best when you was talking about, about you're within yourself. That's what yoga was supposed to be about, within yourself. So wow, I just did this cool thing. I'm present and within myself. So what better way to really understand that than come check you out?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. All right, folks. We thank you for joining us and everything, and we'll see you next time.